Hello, beautiful people. Got some new tarot cards today. I thought we could have a play with them. So let's do a little bit of a soul tarot reading. So take your time to breathe, connect, focus, and ask yourself to be guided to the card of most benefit for you to receive a guided message from. We have card 1, card 2, card 3. So card 1 from this beautiful Nicoletta Ceccoli, I can never say it, Nicoletta Ceccoli card deck. She's a gorgeous artist that does very dreamy, intuitive, innocent artwork, is the card of strength. And this is about fighting with our inner fear, overcoming our inner fear and our inner urges. So at the moment, because of the retethering process that my guides have been talking about, us anchoring into new earth chakra vibrations, many of us are having to process fears and deal with insecurities and niggles that are essentially preventing us from following our new directions that have come out of the cosmic reset of 2020. And this is a programmed, destined cosmic reset. But as I have talked to at length, we are now stepping into a quantum territory that has not been written. And we are essentially taking the reins of our life. And even though free will has something that we've been talking about and existing for our lifetime, this has never been more true. And so at this point in time, many old souls are feeling an inner struggle with facing fears that they have been able to overlook in the past or just move beyond. In this energy, it's usually coming to light in friendships, people moving out of our life, acquaintances or connections and identities that we are needing to vanquish or move beyond because they have been guided for a time, but they are no longer serving us. And that, in the long scheme of things, is beautiful. We're moving into the places we're meant to be, but it's requiring strength. And so this is the card of inner strength. It's a card of, really getting in touch with a part of ourselves that may be uncomfortable to look at and to triumph over any trust issues that we have, and to remember our own inner goodness. The purpose of the struggle that those of us that chose this card, the purpose of the struggle for those of us that chose this card is that we are learning to exist in a self-love that doesn't require external feedback. It doesn't require likes or followers or affirmation, because it's a knowledge of our own inner goodness. But it is requiring us to, as this beautiful image is showing, kind of get to aspects of ourselves that are holding us back and diminish them, hold them down, enough that we can find out who we truly are. So if you chose this card, I want to signal to you that this is a challenging time, but it's worth holding on to the light that you see existing in the world. The next few months will be deep processing energy. I would encourage you to share your concerns with a trusted friend. I am doing a deep dive into the history of the Kennedys at the moment, and I heard that Joe Kennedy had a quote that I live by, that I have always lived by, which is if you can count your true friends of up to 5 on one hand, then you are truly blessed in this lifetime. And I've come to believe that. I think that often those people that we can truly rely on are real gems, and there may not be many of them, but as long as we've got a few in our life that we can turn to, we are wealthy beyond means. So right now, turn to a beautiful friend that you trust for that extra cuddle or support or affirmation of self-love. Dig deep and vanquish any fears. Card 2 is actually a reverse card, and it's the reverse 8 of Wands. I'll show you it upright because it has a beautiful message to it. And this message is all about light codes. And so from a reverse perspective, the 8 of Wands can be a redirection of our energy towards a new path that is coming through. This is in fact the energy of the new moon that we've got coming up. So from our last full moon to our new moon and beyond it, there is a lot of astrology that is allowing us to download some significant shifts and changes in our path. And so for those of you that chose this one, you are very likely to be in that space. It is a space where stillness is not wasted. This card can represent lots of different things reversed. It can represent procrastination. And right now, many spiritual sensitives may feel a little bit lost and may feel like they're procrastinating or have this tug of war happening internally where you feel like you should be doing something to serve your soul mission, and yet you feel stuck, you feel uncertain, you feel like you are needing to sit still. This card is encouraging you, if you're feeling this way, that more information needs to be processed, that these light codes aren't finished yet. And the information that I'm getting from my guides is that probably not until the end of Taurus season, until we start to get into mid-June and even into July, are we going to have the impetus and the clarity to move forward with all of our plans, because they have significantly changed. And that is, as I've been talking about, because we are working with new potential energy, because the energy that we work within, the quantum field that we exist within, is very much made up by the whole. And the collective is going through such a shift that the energetic potentials we had on offer at the time of incarnation have shifted well beyond what we thought. And so this is a time for you where meditation, journaling, sitting still and receiving, being in nature and grounding. This is an ungrounded card. It says, I'm not sure of my direction. I'm not sure where I'm going. And I'm wanting to allay your fears or spirits, because this is a standstill time for a lot of very empathic, spiritual, sensitive beings on the planet, where we are needing to get more input, more information. And when we're taking in downloads of light codes and light energy, that's very consuming. It can feel quite tiring. It can feel almost depressing at times. We can start to feel quite sad. In no way would I be encouraging you to ignore symptoms of depression, anxiety, or mental health. Please go to your general practitioner. Please get support. Please get medication if you need it. All of these things are supportive on our journey, and they come from spirit and they are helpful. So get medical intervention where needed. But know that part of the download of light codes can feel sometimes a little bit sad, a little bit sorrowful, a little bit heavy, a little bit, it's not always energizing. The energizing factor is going to come in after the new moon in Aries. So beyond the 15th and beyond the 16th of April, you might start to feel more of an upswing in your energy and a movement forward. But for those of you that chose this card, if you're feeling still, if you're feeling the need to be silent, if you're feeling stuck with your plans, that's because you're taking on information and it hasn't quite manifested yet. Allow your dreams to speak to you. Be open to messages that you're receiving. Make room to connect with your guides. Do all the spiritual things that help you attune to the changing frequencies. And don't be scared if you feel a little bit blocked or a little bit stagnant or like you're not as clear. That's because you don't have all the information yet. It's coming. Be patient, receive, open those arms and those psychic channels to receive. And within a few weeks, you'll be back on track. So card 3. This card has a dual message because we've got the message of the tarot and then we've got the message that my guides are giving me. So this is the Ace of Cups. And the Ace of Cups is usually a card that I absolutely adore in the normal tarot deck. It's a card of overflowing love, new opportunity, self-fulfillment. It's a real new beginnings card. But when we look at this beautiful image, we see a rather forlorn girl holding the many little babies over her heart, which is her inner child, over and over again over her heart. And there's a part of me that feels this incredible empathy for this card because it is talking about empathy. It is talking about surrendering for self-love and for new levels of self-love. So what I found in my life is achieving self-love is usually quite an uncomfortable process. It's not bubble baths and, hugs from strangers and massages. It's usually like an experience of having to find a way to be compassionate to ourselves as we see sides of perhaps our former life or former choices become impossible to keep doing. This card for me speaks to me about perhaps overgiving and can be an instigator of new boundaries. At this time, we're learning new parts of ourselves on a frequency that we haven't had before. The full moon that we just went through was so exposing because what it did is it gave us a vantage point through the Venus activations that are happening astrologically to form a new relationship with self-love. And the planet Venus is one that is becoming very much a feature of the next few months. And Venus for me represents moving beyond insecurities of the heart, moving beyond insecurities of abundance, and moving into a place of self-love that is very embodied. Hence, she's got all of these little inner childs over her heart chakra. So what I talked about on my webinar in the practice for that full moon was that the special astrology of that time was allowing us to process awareness about ourselves and truths about ourselves that would normally take many lifetimes to perceive. So at the moment we are being lifted up, thanks to the accompanying astrology, to see the vantage points that our guides have, which is seeing ways to solve old problems that have been with us for millennia, for eons, for lifetimes, and seeing them in very abrupt and clear ways, thanks to the Aquarius energy that we have in 2021. And that can sometimes be so startling, so honest, that we can be understanding truths about ourselves or truths about our past. So it might be processing old relationships or old hurts that didn't hurt in the past, processing boundary violations that we've never seen before, or seeing truths about ourselves, soul truths, that perhaps are a bit uncomfortable. But if we make space to be compassionate to ourselves and loving to ourselves, giving ourselves the gift of sitting with the discomfort, what we have the capacity to understand about ourselves will literally help us evolve in this year as much as we would in numerous lifetimes. And this is why it feels, excuse my French, so fucked at the moment because we are literally evolving beyond what we ever have before, but beyond the speed of light. And so this beautiful image, she speaks to some of the sadness, some of the empathy that's cropping up. I'm noticing many of my clients having huge increases of light in their aura, as such that they are learning so much about others that they couldn't ever, got cut off, how rude, that they couldn't perceive before. So if you've had incredible upgrades to your heart chakra, it is likely that you are crossing over, particularly if you've chosen this card, crossing over with others' energy. We call that hyper empathy. And having to heal childhood experiences of parentification or a lack of boundaries or a lack of care, even if your parents were really loving. You may be healing childhood trauma, and you may be healing perhaps socialized concepts that were given to you in childhood that you've outgrown about boundaries, about self-worth, about self-love, about money and security. But the benefit of this is a level of compassion that you can offer to yourselves and others that multiplies beyond the realms of what you've ever known. And it also allows you the gifts of helping others and loving others in a very deep way. This is also signaling changes to your parenting. If you're a parent, perhaps children coming in, the capacity to bring new life into the world, if that's what you're looking for. So a healing that's coming in with that. And a capacity for rebirth of your soul that's allowing new love. And this will manifest by September, is what I'm getting. So for those of you that chose this card, and all of the cards really today in the reading, hang in there. This is such an immense time of growth for us. And as I said, no matter what card you chose, you are getting a evolved version of your auric body coming through that would normally take a number of lifetimes to achieve. So be kind to yourself, be loving to yourself, and if you're struggling and you need support, join me in the practice. This is a place for like-minded, beautiful souls, no matter what level of spiritual awareness you think you have. We're not about levels there. We're not about ego. We're just all of us, including me, on a journey of self-healing and spiritual awakening. And so it's a place where people come together and evolve. So I hope you can join me there. I wish you all the very best for these current downloads of energies. And I ask that if you're not already following me on YouTube or following me on Instagram, please follow me there to receive regular updates of the energy that is swiftly changing through this time. Namaste.